Hello, everyone. Andrew Taylor here. Today we have Sean Ruggiero with us with Advanced Market Sales at Family First Life.
Yes.
Before you go, I just want to tell a story and thank you. Okay?
Is it? Yeah, go ahead.
When Family First Life opened, you started training on annuities.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to sell an annuity. You gave a very simple presentation. I think I drove like 2 hours to come hear you train, and you had said one thing to do in an appointment to follow up and help a customer with an annuity. And it was, do you have anything that acts like life insurance, like stocks, bonds, CDs, 401ks that can be left behind to your family if you pass away? I go to my very next appointment the next day after you said that. The guy goes, yeah, I have $500,000 in my retirement. I don't really know what to do with it. You then said to get a statement and to call the advanced market sales team, which at that time was just your cell phone number.
Right.
So I got it. I got the statement. I called you. You helped me run an illustration.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and helped the customer. It was like a $28,000 commission, and the customer was super happy this all happened within days after your training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your training's excellent, and I would argue it's the best in the industry by far.
Yeah. I think it is. And I don't say that because I'm feeling cocky about it. I'm saying it because we've learned what gets results. And it's that fine line between truly educating agents. I believe in agents, Andrew, right? I believe they're capable of understanding and knowing more. But there's also too much information. There's also the overwhelming, right? Here's a bunch of information. You have to understand that. So knowing what we do and staying within that box when we help customers is what's important. And being able to be efficient and say, hey, do you have anything that acts like insurance, which was the golden question that you asked. And I'm going to go on a slight tangent. The reason we call it the golden question is when you're sitting down with someone for an insurance appointment, you're obviously going to ask them if they have any insurance currently. If you don't, that's like selling a car and not even asking the person if they have a car or what kind of car they drive. I mean, you're really driving blind. And trust me, because I did it about like my first 8 appointments. I forgot to ask people if they had any insurance. Once you ask that question, then you want to ask the golden question. Do you have anything that acts like insurance, such as a 401k, an IRA, stocks, bonds, anything like that? It's going to go over to your loved ones when you die. And when they say yes, you have an annuity opportunity, like you discovered there. When they say no, we're going to ask them about IULs. You know, well, have you ever considered an IUL to supplement your retirement? So just that question right there leads to the opportunity to write annuities and IULs. And we've got to keep it simple because what we do is simple. As we get complex, sales tails get dragged out, right? Not only can the agent get confused, but here's what I found out. It's really not the agent. We've got some smart people. The client gets confused. And that's where we had to get really efficient with you. So yes, I believe it's the best training in the industry because one, we put a lot behind it. We've got a lot of horsepower. But two, we've learned over 8-9 years how to make it appropriately palatable for not just the agent, but for the client.
So this is a added benefit to Family First Life that's not discussed often. Because a new agent, they focus on final expense, mortgage protection, term, which they should right when they start.
Absolutely.
Once they grasp that, though, they have access to this whole world of that can helping customers, but can drive profits through the roof by selling your current clients, helping them with IULs and annuities. So what you're saying is the way you train keeps you away from tidal wave selling, which I always said you're giving a client so much information, deer in the headlights look, then they need to really think about it and they don't buy anything. And you do that. You've consumed yourself in this world for 7-8 years. What exactly have you done? You got all kinds of licenses, you did all kinds of things, you've learned both sides of the scale on annuities and all kinds of different things. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because I think having an understanding of what I know and what I teach is important, not to brag, but to give agents and advisors confidence in what they're learning when it comes from me. You and I started off really at a similar time. I think the exact same time in the industry, decade and a half ago, whatever it was, doing the same thing, focusing on insurance. And what I learned is that insurance is almost always part of someone's overall financial plan. Now, their financial plan might be, I have no financial capital, I have no savings, no nothing. All I have is my human capital, and I need to protect it. Once I die, my Social Security payment dies. Once I die, my pension dies. We need to protect them. But as we started to branch out, we saw that there's more than just insurance, but insurance is the glue that ties together. It's the foundation. I talk about a financial pyramid, building a proper financial pyramid. The base of that pyramid is insurance. I got fascinated by the other layers, and I think part of it is a self-esteem thing. I hate being wrong. I'm not comfortable being wrong. I want to know more. I don't like being the person that's in the dark. So I had a thirst for this knowledge, and over the last decade, the first thing I did was I wanted to help people with estate planning because I thought that's where it got more complex. So insurance for estate planning. Insurance can be passed on tax-free. Insurance can be put into an irrevocable trust, so it's not even on your taxable estate. All these really cool things. So I got something called a CEP, a Certified Estate Planner.
What is the training for that?
It's a 2-semester-long course you have to do, proctored exams, those sorts of things. So it's like going back to school, which is funny because I did not like school. Like in college, if I had a 5-credit course, I think that's what they call it, I would go, that meant I went 3 times, right? And then if I got a good enough grade, I'd pass. And a 3-credit course meant I went 2 times. I'm not, anyone listening to this, don't take it as that college isn't a good thing to do. I actually think it is, but it's a maturity level. How is this applicable to what I do? When I get to a point where everything I learn is applicable to what I do and it can help me make money, then I take the education a lot more seriously. And that was later in life. I mean, I was your age or older before I really started trying to learn this stuff and had a passion for it. I added in probably the most valuable certification. And when I say this, there's a disclaimer. If you're a new agent, don't run out and go do these. Right? This is, one, there's no reason to, because we can help you.
Yeah, you did it. We can just use
Exactly
AMS.
Right. Yeah, just ask us. And 2, they're going to consume a lot of time. So unless this is something that is your hobby or your passion that you want to add on to it, most of our agents need to focus on 2 things: making sure their families are fed, their bank accounts are full, and that they're building their business, right? And those are 2 things that we want to help with. I added the Retirement Income Certified Professional, the best course. It was the long one. It's 3 semesters. The best education I've ever had. That includes all my college, everything, because it focused specifically on retirement. And retirement is where the game gets a little bit complex. I could tell someone in 30 seconds how to save for retirement. They're 26 years old, okay, pick an index fund, go to Vanguard, pick an index fund, and put $500 in every month. And then I'll talk to you in 30 years. Like that's how simple it is to save for retirement. But once we get into retirement, it gets a little more complex. And the RICP through the American College of Finance out of Philadelphia, best course I've ever taken. So that certification was great. I then found, and part of this was liability, as we started to grow, okay? And no one knew, I think Sean always said we want to be a household name, right? He always had a very big vision. I kind of looked at it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, but we started to grow and swell. I wanted to make sure that I was legally covered. I wanted to make sure that if I said something, it wasn't, there's a lot of trolls out there who say, annuities aren't good, you're not a securities agent. So
Don't do them.
Don't do them, right? And you have to admit that's a little intimidating as an agent.
It was for me at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me. So I said, well, why don't I just learn that side? So I got my securities license, passed the 65. I actually own my own RIA. I have a registered investment advisory firm that's licensed in like 26 states. and I'm an investment advisor representative and a fiduciary. So I know that side. I added a wealth management certification professional from the American College of Finance. So dealing with hiring clients, right, when we're looking at tax issues, things like that. Stuff we don't encounter all the time as a Family First Life agent, not because we aren't capable, it's just you just don't run into them very often. They're the 1%ers, maybe the 2%ers. And then finally, Social Security is a big deal. We have an agreement and a great relationship with the National Social Security Administration of advisors, and they have a certification, so I also took that. So you go through that list of things I'm talking about. Again, not to pat myself on the back, but I take great pride in knowing that. And our team has a lot of education. That's one of the things that if you sit down, we have meetings bi-weekly, once every quarter, every single person from our front desk person to Bridget, who's vice president, head of operations, has to show us what they're doing for their continued certification and education. And I think that's important because just like you had said previously, when you request help on a case, you want to know that what you're given is confident, well-structured, and educated, and it's going to hold up, against any other plan.
So the advanced market sales team with Family First Life, you run and manage that team.
Yes.
If an agent comes across an IUL or an annuity case, and you guys do a training every week, that's incredible, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Family First Life Facebook page, continuing to just bring new concepts and new tools to advanced market sales. But how would an agent, dude, and this tool is worth so much money, just having access to you guys, but are they able to request help straight from you, or do they go to their upline?
Yeah, great question. They can request help straight from us. There are a few uplines out there, who they have a propensity to teach and know this stuff fairly well. But if we look at the synergy, okay, you know what the AMS team does not have? We don't have a recruiting arm. We don't have a hiring arm. And that's like 90% true. We do some things to recruit certain advisors, IARs.
But not really.
But not really. Yeah, exactly. And so we need managers, we need upline professionals to stay focused on bringing in new agents and getting them to where they can make some money. Because if you can't build that, you're going to be out of the business quick.
Don't start day one and go, I'm going to be an advanced market specialist. You're saying just learn basics when you come in.
Yeah. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying for the managers, if we tied them up and said, let's say we did a weekly call or a monthly call, and we had all top managers, right? Sales managers, those that have a logo and above, just picking a level. And we trained them on what they need to know to train their agents, it would hinder the entire company. Because that is something that doesn't have anything to do with bringing in new agents and helping them get paid right away.
Which is what I've always been good at, and why you guys have been such a help, because I don't have to get all those licenses and learn all that stuff.
Right. Nor does your agent, and so you can help answer questions about leads, which is always a very unique challenge. You can help answer questions about overcoming objections on the phone, how to properly schedule your day, keep them motivated. Right? There's a didactic training that comes not from the AMS team, but from their upline. So no, we don't want them to go upline. We want them to go straight to us.
And how do they do that?
There's two ways to do it, but here's the best way to do it. The best way to do it is go into your CRM. Everybody has access to the CRM. Correct me if I'm wrong, if things have if there's some sort of diversion I'm not aware of, but everybody who is a full function agent is going to have access to the CRM.
Yes.
On the left side there in the navigation, it has Ask a Specialist. So when you're asking that golden question, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, do you have anything that acts like insurance? And they say yes, or they say no. Now you have that opportunity. And I teach exactly how to ask those questions, right? Not to pull back from this too much, but there's 4 quadrants, right? There's mortgage protection, final expense, and I include general life leads and internet leads, general life requests in there. And then there's IULs and annuities. This side over here is lead driven. It's lead driven. This side over here is question driven. You just have to memorize 3 questions. Question number 1, do you have anything that acts like insurance? And then it's 1A or B, depending on how they answer. If they say, yes, I do, we say, is it protected? Is your retirement protected? If they say, no, I don't, we say, have you considered an IUL to supplement your retirement? That's it. Those 3 questions lead you into the other quadrants. You go into the CRM and you enter it in. Within 24 hours, it says 48, but we're very prompt. Within 24 hours, we're going to send you back an email. It's going to have illustrations, the product you're going to use, why you're going to use it. We even check to see if you're not contracted or if your upline's not contracted. Send it over, and then there'll probably be about 2 or 3 videos that are maybe a 5-minute watch.
That you put in there.
Yeah, and it says, here's exactly so. And then at the bottom of that, Andrew, is if you're still confused, let us know. Right?
Dude, that is so efficient.
It is. And getting back to this, because this is a competitive landscape, right? Family First Life agents, they're not tricked into signing some contract that then we have to earn
their
business every single day. I pit that against any other company, any other IMO out there. And I do that as a challenge, and I do that with a lot of pride, because I know that what we do is the ability for an agent who is sometimes treading water to being able to pay off all their lead bills, get ahead in their mortgage, make their car payments, and move forward. As you and I both know, I mean, we've tactically gone through that in our experience over the last, decade and a half.
Yeah, that's huge. Now, there's another story. I don't know if you remember this one, but I was calling leads at like 9:30 p.m. because I didn't have my appointment count. Mm-hmm. Lady answers and goes, hey, I never answered because I walk in the door at 9:15. Mm-hmm. I go over there. She gives me, she goes, I don't want insurance, but I do have, from me asking those questions, mm-hmm. I just retired, or I'm retiring in a month, and I'm forced to move my retirement account. Mm-hmm. And that's a thing. You actually have to move it, right?
100%.
So I call you. This is like 2 hours away from home.
Yeah.
I call you on the way home and schedule an appointment for the next day. Mm-hmm. You help me run an illustration. I go back. I end up writing her over $1 million in annuities. She had other stuff, mm-hmm. but the amount that you had said, hey, this is a good amount to do, was $1 million.
Yeah.
Customer was happy. But dude, the commission, I don't know if you remember that, but Athene was paying like an extra
50 bips. Mm-hmm.
Was it 1%? Yeah. And like this thing just issued, and I forgot what it was exactly, but like $87,000 or something crazy.
Yeah.
And for me at that time in my business, that was a huge springboard.
Yeah.
To get me to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's out there every day if you're looking for it. And I think the most important thing about this conversation is that you don't have to learn everything. You can learn as you go with your guys' system.
Yes.
Learn the 3 questions, identify the cases, get additional business, be more profitable, help customers with more than one policy, help customers with retirement, all those different things.
Yeah. This is something I talk about that needs to be talked about more. We engage clients through purchasing of leads. We don't sit there like certain IMOs, and there's publicly held IMOs that they're actually insurance companies who have a list that you call off of, or it's all warm market, okay? I know for me, that was a detractor. I did not want to do that.
Same.
Yeah. And so we have a funnel, and that funnel is throw leads in the top, okay? No one's funnel is completely isometric, right? I mean, there's some Mark Meads, Giordano's, Matt Smiths, yourself, right? You've never professed to be the best salesman, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's how much does it taper? And what I mean by tapering is the lead comes in, then there's the phone calls. Does every single lead you buy turn into a phone call? No. So some of them spill out. Then does every phone call turn into an appointment? No. Does every appointment turn into a sit? No. We go down.
Does every sit turn into a sale?
No, exactly.
Does every sale stay a sale? No.
Nope, you're exactly right.
And then at the very bottom is what? A customer?
Is a customer. Yeah, and it has a little dollar sign, right? Yes, we're helping them, so maybe it's a dollar sign with like angel wings or something. Like, you're being altruistic. You're doing what's best for both of you, a win-win situation. But think about this, Andrew. As the sales managers and yourself and Sean Mike and just all these leaders across the country, you all are working on how this whole funnel system works and expands. Get better at what you're doing. What I consider the AMS team is, think of this as a conveyor belt at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. It's a final expense lead. It makes through the hopper, and it hits, and you made a sale. Like that's a touchdown, right? But then it falls off. Start again. That could be exhausting, right? What we're saying is, don't treat that as a final expense sale. Treat that as a client, and then add another carousel. Now we're talking about IULs. We're talking about annuities. We're talking about helping with children. And I'm not a huge children's IUL policy, but this is stickiness, right? The finite thing that you and I have on this earth is time, okay? And the difficult thing to get is a client, right? You can have streaks. I mean, you can have streaks where 20 leads turn into 5 calls and 3 sits and no sales. So when you have that client, you must optimize them. And you have 2 choices to do that. You can try to expand all your knowledge and go on this tangent and be something you are not, or you can just let the AMS team help you add those conveyor belts. And that's what we do.
Dude, so FFL, free training, highest commission, or super high commission, lead system, free CRM, which is very expensive for people that don't know to have a CRM for an entire sales force. All these different things, but then the cherry on top is the AMS sales team, which is huge.
Yeah, and give Sean Mike some credit, because I'm going to say it regardless. Annuities are not the most attractive product to push when you are a sales manager in IMO, because if you don't do a lot of them, the commission override isn't great.
There's not a lot of levels, right?
No, not a lot.
How many levels are there?
Your average company, a few of them have made some exceptions, but your average company's going to have 4 levels.
Okay.
Right? It is more catered to a financial company type platform. So when you don't have a lot of levels, when you're not getting a huge override, and put a pin in that, put an asterisk, because I'd like to come back to that. Who's the reward go to? Well, first and foremost, the client. And I think you and I would both agree that when you're doing something that helps a client, you feel good about it. It's easier to make that sale, right? Secondly, the agent.
Big time. Like I said with me. Dude, who knows what that actually did for my business that we can't see those 2 sales?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100K plus. Do the P&L or how profitable were those 2 leads for my business?
Yep.
So that's huge. But a lot of managers, there's not a million levels for everyone to get an override.
Right.
So sometimes managers will get upset, but it is important to understand that agent being able to build their business with that money is actually very valuable, and you are making money. You just can't see it in a really direct way at that point in time.
Yeah, and it's a testament to, it's a gut check, Andrew. It is, why is Family First Life there? When you start to have success, we've talked about this on a personal level. Once money starts showing up, people can change a little bit, right? And that's a whole different conversation. But my point being, you have a certain level of success, and you start to change your approach a little bit. We have to stay grounded and say, we are here to help clients and agents. The rest will take care of itself. And that commission, if there's 7% paid out in annuity and 1% gets split up here and 1% gets, or 0.5% gets split up here, and that's going to 4 people who are on these stacked levels, and 5 or 6% goes to the agent, that's the way it is. But think about what that means to that agent, right?
Everything.
Now, the important part, the balance to that. Matt Smith and I used to have a joke that where, hey, so-and-so, Joni Smith called me today. Joni's a fictitious agent who represents many agents I've talked to before. Joni wants to just do annuities, right? Yeah, okay. I want to just, shoot 3-pointers and make them every time. I want to just hit hole-in-ones. I mean, it doesn't happen. It's not pragmatic. And so we run that risk that if you get a little bit of an annuity flavor in your mouth,
you only want to do it.
You only want to do annuities, right? And that's all you're searching for. I have to warn you, that is one of the quickest ways to get yourself in a lot of trouble. What you must do is stay efficient. And there's a harmony there. If the managers can realize the benefit, and again, I'm going to come back to my asterisk, if they can realize the benefit to their agent for the sticking power, for the appreciation and the value that FFL brings because of this AMS piece, and the money they'll be able to make and take care of lead bills and be able to take travel trips and be able to take their family on vacation, all these things that are important to them, that's why they're in business in the first place, then they will support that agent. But the agent has to realize that a sales tail, there's no instant issue annuity. The sales tail on an annuity or higher price IUL sale is going to be longer. Some of these annuity sales, I've had ones that drag on for 3 months. Mm-hmm. Right? That's just a fact. So what do? You are efficient in asking the question, and you are bulletproof in 2 things. If they're not interested, move on. Right? I gave the analogy out there when we were talking, having some bagels and coffee.
Yeah, please, everybody watching, listen to this part.
Yeah, it's very important. And we had to learn, right? We had to learn. If someone said no to a final expense sale, no, I'm not interested, or $12 a month is too much, whatever it is, you wouldn't show up 3 more times trying to convince them to do it. And understand this, you have to be able to read people to a certain extent. Some people have they have an aversion to conflict, and they won't say no very strongly. You know how many appointments I sold, and I'm like, they're going to cancel it by text message the second I walk out of here. And it just knew. It wasn't anything I did wrong. It was just new. Move to the next one. Move to the next one. Treat it the same way you do this business. Do your very best job. Explain why you're there, how it's going to work, what it's going to cost. And if they say yes, fantastic. Give them service, fervor. With annuities, it's the same thing. With IULs, it's the same thing. Have you considered an IUL to supplement your retirement? What's that? I'll be back next Tuesday. We just treat it like an appointment, and I'll show you how that works. The agent knows nothing, right? They go to the AMS team. They submit it on Ask a Specialist. I come back. I say, okay, we're going to use National Life Group or North American or Mutual of Omaha. And they go and present it, and the person's hemming and hawing and saying, I don't want to do it. The agent, because it's an advanced market sale, I don't know why, they won't let it go. You've got to let it go. You've got to let it go. So you must be efficient and only work with those people looking for the low-hanging fruit.
And you've seen that this is just an additional tool. It's not the bread and butter.
Correct. Yeah, here's a great analogy. Actually, before I do that, here's the second piece that goes with that, what you need to remember every time you're presenting an advanced market tool. It also does what it does. And let's use annuities as an example, because annuities they're the low-hanging fruit with so many people. About 20% of your people out there are just an easy annuity sale. You just have to ask the question and get comfortable with the system. But when the person starts saying, well, what's my rate of return, or how does that compare to ETFs? And people are very ignorant. The general populace will be they'll say stuff that doesn't make sense, so then you repeat it to us, and we're saying, they actually asked you something that was erroneous. But here's what annuity does. It eliminates fees, it eliminates market risk, and it can create a lifetime paycheck for you and your loved ones. Well, but what kind of rate of return is it going to get compared to gold? Mr. Smith, it eliminates fees, it eliminates risk, it can give you a lifetime paycheck. Well, what if, right, do you see my point? Know where it is. So go for the low-hanging fruit, and don't try to make an annuity what it's not. And what I'm getting at specifically, sometimes agents talk about, well, they are getting 6%, and how does this compare? No, that's not the game.
That's not the point.
It's not the point.
I got to share this too. You said this at one training. I used it dozens of times with annuity customers, okay? Mm-hmm. This is when it clicked for me. Instead of trying to get somebody to do pitch them on their full retirement, my pitch changed to go, Sean Ruggiero, this product, you're never going to lose money. You'll participate in the upswing. it's most likely going to make more than a CD. It's not a crazy, you're not going to have 20, 30, 40% growth. It's not going to be something aggressive like that. So you share in the upswing, you don't lose any money. And a lot of customers like to take about 50% of what they have and apply it towards something like this.
Yeah.
And when I started only presenting for 50%, it actually changed every appointment I had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything to that?
Yeah, it absolutely is. One, I think the agent has more confidence because they're staying in that framework like I'm talking about. Secondly, there is a psychological effect on the consumer where they don't feel like you're being aggressive, right? So many of my analogies are not necessarily appropriate, but I'm trying to think of, you can't ask for too much. You're going to retard people. They're going to reject that. And so when you say, hey, here's what it does, right? And but we got to make sure that this makes sense. A lot of times if the person has $200,000, we just throw it out there. I'll pick out an arbitrary number and say, you might want to look at doing half of it. Then you show them the illustrations. You send it over to the AMS team. They say, here's the product, here's the illustrations. You show them the illustrations, and they're like, this is really awesome. And if you do it that way, how many times, Andrew, do you have that person saying, well, can I put more in?
A lot.
Yeah. Let me check. I think you can put more in. I don't know.
The truth is, you can't put everything in.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You're technically violating a regulation if you put everything in. Now, qualified funds, they'll allow more because people are very restrictive. My mom had $30-something thousand. She was so proud of it. Like $380,000 of debt and a $32,000 401k. Like, did I do well? You did great, Mom. And that $32,000, we put most of that into just a paycheck, right? Because it made sense for her. But when we start talking about someone who has $1 million, when you start chasing down $1 million, one, you're going to start getting into the competition a little bit more. And this is a good thing to talk about. Now you might get an advisor from so-and-so brokerage or XYZ firm. But two, they're a lot more hesitant to do anything when you're asking for all of it. When you ask for all of it. Andrew, say I just met you. And I said, good-looking guy, you look successful, you drive a Tesla. You want to marry me and have 6 kids? Like, whoa. You went to marry me and have 6 kids.
Yeah.
Versus, you want to get coffee?
Well, what's funny is, like, that's what we train people on the phone script. So sometimes agents, when they call you, they'll go, I'm coming over on Tuesday, and they're like, who are you? But if you go, if you go, hey, I need to verify the information on this form, my job's to get you to see what you qualify for the insurance you requested. Yep. It's going to take me 10 to 15 minutes. I'll be there. I can be there on Tuesday at 4 or 6, what works best. Yeah. It's completely different, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's big. Now, one other thing that I read or somebody trained on at some point in time was that second money is always easier to get than first money.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah. Actually, that was Matt Smith. He used to talk about that a lot.
Yeah, it was Matt Smith. Mm-hmm. Now, what he was saying is if a customer buys anything, it's easier to get them to get additional programs because they already trust you than it is to get a new customer. Dude, and what did I just do? Oh, I went to Sleep Number, the bed place, and they're like, I'm like thinking how important sleeping good is, right?
Do you have a Sleep Number?
I just bought one yesterday.
They're good.
But the guy's like, this is the one. And then I'm like, cool. And then he's like, do you want this feature and this feature and this feature and this special sheets and this and that and this? And next thing you know, I'm like, of course I'm going to get all that because I already got that.
Right. Yeah. You've made the commitment. Now you want the commitment to be complete.
Exactly.
Or get the best ROI on what you're doing there. And that is true. The second sale is the easiest sale. And it also goes to the point when we reverse that up the funnel, right? Would you rather, so you have 2 choices now. You can go start the top of the funnel again, or you can focus on that person and ask them a question or 2 questions and see if there's anything else there. And that person becomes stickier, and they become a better value to you. A quick comment about how we approach this, right? first, we're looking for the low-hanging fruit, like I've already said. Just, is your money protected? Is your retirement protected? Is your retirement protected? You ask that question. So like, think of this funnel for annuities. How many people do you sit down with? And then you ask them the golden question. Do you have anything that acts like insurance, such as a 401k, IRA, or annuity? Something's going to go over to your spouse when you die. How many say yes? It's not 100%. Not 100% of the people out there have financial capital protect. It's about 20 to 30%. That depending on where you run it might be a little higher, but about 20 to 30%. Now, out of those, about 20 to 30%, they're interested in what you're saying. Here's why, and here's what you should have a ton of confidence in, okay? Most of the people we work with are the underserved. As I write my book, I talk about, and I did a tally of how many millions of dollars I've helped people with. But I put a note in there, a second sentence, talking about, and I think I'm even more proud of this because it's not like I landed, this person has $10 million of investable assets. It's $300K, $180K, $40,000. Andrew, you're talented, you've worked hard, you've been blessed. When you finally hang it up and retire, you're not going to have the same struggles as someone who has $40,000 in their IRA and Social Security makes up 50 or 75% of their income. You're just not in the same category. As a financial advisor, the person I just described, not you, but the other person, they don't want to touch them. It's not personal. It's business, right? Do you want to sell the car for $2,000, or do you want to sell the Bentley? And that's an extreme example.
That's very popular in that world, though.
It is very popular and very competitive. And I tell you what, you take the average agent and you throw them in against people who are competing with the $10 million person. You better get my certification.
But nobody's competing with the 250, 500, 750. Like no one.
You're exactly right.
So in other words, our customers are not being guided to be helped with retirement if we don't do it.
Correct. No one pays attention. Keep in mind, there's a knee-jerk no on most things. There's a knee-jerk no. Hey, do you have anything that acts like insurance, such as a 401k, an IRA, annuity? And yes, I intentionally say that multiple times so people get it. And they say, well, yeah, I do. And they say, is it protected? Well, no. What do you mean by that? Right there, and I'm saying this to new agents, right there, you just pause. Say, well, we specialize in protecting human capital, with life insurance, but we're one of the nation's leaders in protecting financial capital.
How much business does FFL do in annuities?
We will hit, to be totally honest, it's September, almost October. We'll fall just short of our goal. But you have to understand, Sean Mike has a lot of the influence on the goals, so they become astronomical. So we'll be just short of $200 million in FIA sales. And then IULs will hit $30 million. So you're talking about $250 million
in add-on sales.
In add-on sales from our fragmentation, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Take into account what FFL's doing. And Andrew, we'll be at $1 billion holistically, I think, within the next 24 months in a calendar year.
And Sean's been saying that like crazy.
He has, yeah.
But everything he said, we've hit.
This is true.
Every year I'm like, dang, we actually did it. Even if it's by like $1, we still hit it.
Yeah. I should ask him, am I gonna be 6'5"? Can I run a 4.40?
Yeah. All right. So there's one other thing that I want to talk about. You remember my stepdad died.
Yeah.
And I expressed to you that this was 2008. I think he got laid off from because of everything that was going on. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of financial stress. Mm-hmm. And I had told you that my annuity, the way I closed annuities now changed from being just transactional to actually emotional.
Yeah.
And my pitch would be, if I sat down with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it would be, hey, look, a percentage of your retirement can go into this plan that we call the Sleep Well at Night program, because you can never lose $1. No matter what happens in the world, any type of, it's eliminating, which this is remember when you said if you say smart things, people think you're smart?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's eliminating systemic risk, which is things that you can't control.
Yep.
Earthquakes, things that happen with government, worldwide issues.
CEO of Amazon is arrested for a felony, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden their stock drops.
Their stock drops. So this is going to get you out of that world. And the reason I'm passionate about this is because I believe that financial stress leads to other things that can cause other problems and can potentially take time off of somebody's life, which is true. One bad thing happens and then it gets you to do something else, and then maybe you're not motivated, maybe you're not eating good, whatever, maybe you drink more, and this is just somebody. And then how much is 5 more years with your grandkids worth to you? There's no price on that. So what percentage of this money are you not willing to lose? And it was just it just opened up this whole new world of really actually loving what I was doing. And I really believe helping people.
It's visceral. And so one of the things we have, and you can email, I'm sure y'all can put the email up there, but info@fflams.com. There's a graphic, and it's in our presentations. We've all seen it, but it compares the actual market, the price points of the S&P 500, going up, coming down, going up, coming down, right? Over time they go up, but it has lots of dips. Versus a fixed index annuity, it's participating in a certain extent. And the fixed index annuity goes up and levels and up and levels. And none of the peaks are as high as the peak of the S&P, but it doesn't participate in the drops. I don't use that graphic. I used to, right? When you and I first started.
I used to use it,
Yeah, but I used to use it and say, look, it could beat it, right? Or
but the odds are it will not.
It's not how it's designed. By nature, it's designed to participate in the market. If I participate, then how do I beat it? If I participate, then how do I match it? I get some of it, not all of it. But I will outperform CDs, money market accounts, treasury bonds at 1.43% today. So it's not the numbers, it's the representation. Which path looks like the path you want your retirement to be? The one where you're climbing up and you're high, you're emotional, you're not sleeping because you're thinking, oh shoot, how high is this going? Or it's plummeting and now you're not sleeping because you're not sure how low it's going to go. Or do you want this path that goes up, levels off, goes up and levels off? Moshe Milevsky, a Nobel Prize winning finance professor at York University, author of 9 books on retirement. He studied the S&P 500, and we always look at it annually, right? Atlas is 1.5 years old. Do you look at it and you say, he's won, let's look at all the stuff he did? No, it's night by night. It's event by event. It's month by month. Retirement's the same way. You don't just wake up and say, well, let's see how this year went. It's night by night. Moshe Milevsky did a study. In this study, he studied the S&P 500, which statistically since 1970 has gone down 27% of the time. We're here in Las Vegas. If there was a table that says you only lose 27% of the time,
we'll be there all night.
Yeah, I'm hanging up. We're going, right? But when your retirement's based on it, and you're having to take money out, and you don't know when that 27% is going to be, you turn over that bus card, gosh, you want to get to the next hand, right?
Yeah.
And that next hand doesn't happen overnight retirement. You have to sleep through it and watch CNN and watch the internet and listen to your friends. Moshe Milevsky's study was that even though the market went down 27% of the time annually, monthly it was down 38.7% of the time. That's almost 40% of the time. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, what I'm getting at is that right now, your retirement is so tied to the market that if statistics, if history point to our favor, right, and it could even be worse, then 40% of the nights you're going to have trouble sleeping, or 40% of the months you're going to have trouble sleeping. Is that really what you want? And that gets to your point. That gets to that visceral close. It's not just about the numbers. It's about how that feels.
Yeah, that's good. So as we're wrapping up here, for people who don't really understand annuities very much, there's basically 2 main features. And you can correct me if I'm wrong because you know much more about it than I do. But one feature is to grow your money risk-free, and that you'll participate in a percentage of the growth year over year in the stock market. Mm-hmm. On the illustration that AMS will run, that's a jet. Okay.
I thought it was a sound effect, like you
That'd
said
be
something
cool.
very
Maybe we should
poignant.
get
Yeah.
one, Drew.
All right.
So if on an illustration, it will show you what percentage of they will participate year over year of the whatever index that they're in. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So a good way something important to know is somebody that doesn't want to lose money. They just want a percentage every year when the market goes up. That's a safe place to put their money. Now, the companies are able to do that because they have their money for a period of time. So it can be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And over that period of time, they're able to secure investments that will make up for any lost years and be able to pay them out on these years. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. The other option is what a lot of people don't know about, which is the income rider options on annuities. An income rider option allows you to say, okay, here's $500,000, and on this date in 15 years, I'm going to be able to take guaranteed $2,700 a month for the rest of my life, and that's guaranteed and already pre-calculated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, an emotional part of that, an emotional sale or something really freaking cool is if somebody dies, let's say I died, you can set it up where Nicole will get that check every month and doesn't have to worry about finances or anything. That's automatically coming in. So in a way, it is a similar sale to life insurance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, if you don't know this, that's the whole point of this podcast, is if you identify a situation, your team will help somebody understand and get ready for a presentation for a customer. So you don't need to know anything except, do you have anything that's acting like life insurance?
Yeah. How much time do we have left?
We have 7 minutes before we got to get on this call.
Okay, so let's do a little role play, okay? I'm sitting down with you. I'm the agent. You're the client. Andrew, do you have anything that acts like insurance, such as a 401k, an IRA, something that's going to go over to your spouse or loved ones when you die?
401k.
How much is in there? Just rough numbers.
$250.
$250. Okay, great. Now I'm going to conclude what I'm there for. Let's say it's a mortgage protection, a beautiful home here in Las Vegas.
Huge point right here. So you don't go down.
Correct.
This is huge.
Correct.
You don't start talking about it. You finish while you were there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Love the one you're with. And in fact, it gets even better, because this is where agents get intimidated. They either get distracted or intimidated, which is why a lot of managers, rightfully so, are saying, just avoid that. We need to make sure you're getting steps A and B, C together. So I ask the question, but I don't deviate. Then upon the conclusion, I don't have to have the answers. So here's what I say on the conclusion of that. I say, Andrew, I got to go to my next appointment, but real quick. In regards to that 401k, you said you had $250,000. What did you say? I actually forgot.
$250.
$250. Is it protected?
I don't know.
So we protect human capital with life insurance, but we're also one of the nation's leading protectors and retirement planners for financial capital, things like that. As you head into retirement, you're 61 years old. I'll tell you, Andrew, I don't have time right now. Can we meet again in 1 week from now? I'll be here 1 o'clock next Tuesday. Does that sound good? And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was it.
And that's it.
That's it. And so take away the intimidation and don't let it take away from your sale, right? Stay that path. Now you go into your CRM, you enter in as much information as you have. If there's questions on there, it says, well, is this coming from a 401k and you don't remember? Say, I don't know. If it says, what are they most
qualified or
concerned about?
non-qualified?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don't know. Trust me, that's an answer on each one. When you hit submit, we're very good. We have, I want to say, tens of thousands of reps. I mean, we have reps upon reps. So then we're going to come back, okay? And you're going to sit down. You can do it as slides. You can do it as a casual conversation. You're going to sit down the next Tuesday with everything, and you're prepped and you're ready. And I promise you, you won't be an expert on all things annuity, but you'll be an expert on that scenario.
Yep.
And I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to say, Andrew, here's what I mean in regards to protection. We can make sure that you never lose money again in the stock market. You're going to participate in much higher gains than you would if you just put it in your mattress or put it in a CD. And you can turn this into a lifetime income for you and your spouse. Here's the illustration that my team came up with, a very regulated thing, and they put a lot of time in this. Let me show you how this works. And then it's yes or no, right? You add that appointment, just like a final expense, just like a mortgage protection, it's yes or no, and you move on to the next one. Treat it the same way. And one annuity a quarter. Take 6% of that $250, $18,000 commission, rarely charges back. And that's what we're talking about. That's the add-on for the Family First Life 4-quadrant model.
And that's just one a quarter.
And that's just one a quarter, right? You're going to get to the point where you're proficient enough that you will promulgate out this message and you will be able to do it once a month, $250,000 a month, right? I believe in that because I believe that the good agents do it.
Yeah, they definitely do. What is the advanced market sales every Thursday on Family First Life's website? What does that entail every single week?
It's never more than 30 minutes, so it's fresh. Each segment, there's rarely one over 10 minutes, and it's going to show you the updates on who's doing what and training that's valuable for you to learn the basics. Also, a little bit of education on what's going on in the world today that might give you a way to, or give you an angle on what clients are thinking.
Got it. I love it. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming in, man. This is going to help a lot of people.
Andrew, above and beyond everything, thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to teach